What is a scapegoat? A scapegoat is one child that the family selects to put all of their shame, all of their shortcomings, all of their anger and frustration on. Basically, they pick one child as the sacrifice to treat like garbage. They take all of that negative emotion that they themselves have from doing things and feeling bad and bad things they have done, and they put it all on that child. They treat the child less than. They never allow the child to feel good about themselves. The child will never get an apology, and the child will never be loved. And this will continue for this child's entire life. They have been selected for that specifically. And there's a damn good reason why. And the reason is not because the child deserves it. It's due to witchcraft and deals that are made with entities and generational curses. And this is very serious territory because I've lived it myself. And I've been running across more and more people who are coming out of the woodwork that have lived it themselves. It is like being born into a horror movie. Basically, the worst possible childhood you can imagine. And then when you become an adult and you're broken, the family system treats you even worse and acts like you are just a terrible human person. It is evil because they have dealt with evil. And they're dealing with the biggest gaslighting situation that they can do to that person. Why is this? Well, whether you like it or not, witchcraft is a real thing. There is a spiritual realm, and there are good entities and bad entities. And when people deal in witchcraft, many times they will do rituals such as trying to do destiny swapping, or they'll do rituals that will bring them good fortune. But check this out. In real life, if you want to accomplish something big on your own, it takes a lot of pain and suffering and hard work. You're basically trading your time, your effort, and your suffering for the payoff of this project that you've been working on. You're trading. That's exactly what it is. When people deal in witchcraft with entities, they are trying to circumvent that process. Because entities can bring things about faster in the three-dimensional from the spiritual than a person can on their own. When they make this deal with an entity, they have to promise a payment for the good fortune. And the payment has to look like that person's pain and suffering and effort. Because they are tricking the entity into thinking the pain and suffering you're going to receive is mine in exchange for this good fortune. Because negative entities feed off of pain and suffering. And they have a little bit of play here in the three-dimensional, but they can be tricked. What happens is, when people deal in witchcraft and they want to take a shortcut and they are not willing to do the work themselves to bring about good fortune, they select a child as the scapegoat. They select the child as the offering of all that pain and suffering. The scapegoat will go years with just horrible things happening to them over and over and over. And they just can't understand it. And it ends up in pain and suffering and torment for their entire life. because what happens is the payment has to be extracted consistently to that entity for the person that initially made the contract through witchcraft or dabbling as a warlock with that entity. So the family must create situations over and over and over to hurt you, to cause you pain and suffering, and to torment you. And they use gaslighting. And we all know what gaslighting is. That's when you come to them and say, hey, I know this happened to me. You did this. And they act like it didn't. You get these big emotions. You get angry and upset at them. And that entity energetically feeds off of that. And that family member just sits there and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because they're trying to make you angry. And then they point at you when you blow up and get angry and say, see, they're just a bad person. See, they're not close enough to God. See, they just make bad decisions. But in reality, the family, the practitioners made deals and bargains with an entity. So what they have to do is continually make payment. And to do so, they have to continually think of ways to hurt you and cause pain in your life. And they do this behind closed doors. They will take 3 or 4 years just for one little plan. And they will plan their words out so carefully. They will talk to people in your life to make you look bad. They will set up situations to make sure that you fail. Here's what they will do also. They will make deals with other entities to bring you bad fortune on purpose. That way, you still give that supply to that original entity. Because some people will move away and cut them off. But the people, I keep saying this over and over, that initially did, the practitioners that did that craft work, they start to panic a little bit and they need you to suffer. And they want you to suffer because they have to keep paying that payment. Because if you cut them off energetically, if you forgive them and completely separate from that family system, they begin to panic because they can no longer make those payments. And they will select somebody else to do that to. Check this out though. Spiritually, everybody has an energy signature. So when they select somebody else to start punishing, that entity is being fed a different signature and gets wise to it. What does this all mean to you if you've been scapegoated? It means that there was a reason for it. When you go back to those parents and you ask them, why did you do this? Why did you treat me this way? And they won't answer you. That's because they are hiding the evil they did. And I hope in telling you this, that it gives you an understanding of why it was done to you. There was a reason. It was so they can benefit off your pain and suffering, because they do. It's wicked and evil. Do you think they would ever tell you the truth? Do you think they would ever say, hey, this is a deal I made using witchcraft to put you as a sacrifice for us to flourish while you suffer? And we just had to pick one child and we chose you. Would they ever tell you that? Could you imagine the shame and the guilt they would have? But also, these are practices that are kept severely secreted. Severely secreted. They don't tell anybody about it because it's just straight up evil and it's wrong. Do you know who sees it though? The Creator. The Creator knows what they did. And if you believe in karma, what goes around comes around. Usually the people that are scapegoated have the kindest hearts. They're highly energetic and they're very creative, and they're very loving. And these are the perfect people to sacrifice for this role. But when you free yourself of that role, you free yourself to step into your destiny and become the person that you are meant to be, without them putting you in the box or in that role of the scapegoat, and without giving them that supply that they want. You have to cut off those energetic ties that feed them, that feed their resources. And this is a spiritual problem. If you don't believe me, do a little research about witchcraft. Learn about it yourself. Practicing it and learning about it are two different things. Just like there is the occult and there is occulted knowledge. Occulted knowledge is knowledge that is very dangerous to people, but is kept secret by good people. There is the occult, who have their dark practices that they keep secret. And then there's researching the occult, and there's researching the occulted secrets. So in researching, you are not a bad person, you're just learning. But you yourself can do the research on witchcraft. Everything I'm talking about is very real, and there are practices that are kept secret. And you would never be told about it. You would never be told about witchcraft, and you would never be told about occulted practices or the occult practices, because if you knew about it, that would give you a position to begin building defenses against it and cut yourself off. But if you have never learned about it whatsoever, that means you are fully susceptible to all of their attacks. So moving forward, if you have been scapegoated, or you are being scapegoated, and you are living that life right now, your only choice is to cut them off energetically. Know that there's a creator, there's a spiritual realm, and you have to forgive those people. If you do not forgive them, you will keep having the memories. You will keep experiencing that emotional pain, which is energy. Because once they've made these deals, there are energetic ties that are made to those entities. And that energy comes up, and when you remember them, it's energetically received. And the only way to move through that is forgiveness. This person was severely ignorant to the craft work they were doing. And here's where I say ignorant. I don't think they truly understand the depths of the evil that they are dipping into. I don't think they understand how horribly scarring it is to a child of what they are doing. Generational curses. A lot of times, they learned this from their parents and from their parents. And these things can be passed down. And they think that's just the way it is. But they grew up in that system where they select one child every generation to pass everything on to. And they don't know the danger of what they're doing. And at one point in time, they were an innocent little child themselves. To step into forgiveness, it is vital that you look at them as that innocent little child that was deceived. When you can do that, you can truly become the mature person and forgive them. Because if you have endured the scapegoating and generational curses, that means you have a high level of empathy, you have humility, you understand pain and suffering, and you understand how important it is to treat people with love. And the very people we have to turn around and treat with love are the people that picked us to make us suffer. I hope this enlightens you and gives you a peek behind the curtain of why scapegoating is done, how it ties to the spiritual realm, the energetic realm, and with psychological practices as in gaslighting, and why they just treat you like trash. Look at this. If you went back to when they were a little innocent child, I bet they would love you. I bet they would have been great friends, and I bet you would be amazing towards them. So it's important to view them that way and view all the factors that are playing into this. If you want to be free of it and move forwards to grow, you have to know the truth, and you have to know how to cut them out and cut them off. I hope this helps. The end.